Well, hi everybody. My name is Nick Canna. I'm the CTO at StrongPoint. And today the idea is to talk about how we are going to be able to protect our company, starting by protecting our data and managing risk in Salesforce. So let's put a little bit of context here. We know what is an Easter egg, right? And this is kind of a proper bright color Easter egg, but in our world there is also another kind of Easter eggs. That Easter egg is the one that worries us, and it's the one that needs to be worried. All of you need to be worried about it. It's the undocumented feature in a code or the undocumented script or customization that exists in each one of our organization. And in complex companies that have multiples, development environments, UAT, production, distribution, this can be all over the place. So how we can protect our company of the effects of this other Easter egg. The one before is fine. We're going to have that in our company. The first step is asking us a couple of questions to start. We have a well-documented orgs, all of them, and our documentation is complete and up to date. We have confidence in every time that we do a change, we did the proper impact analysis, the risk analysis, and we know that that change is not going to break something else. We have a good, efficient, and complete approval process for our changes. So when we are going to change something, the key personnel is get correctly informed. We have the approvals that we need. We continually check code, so we know exactly what is in our orgs. And of course, we can prove that we do everything that we just ask. Like we have proper documentation, proper change management, proper approval process. I can tell you yes, but how I can prove it? So based on this scenario, what we are going to be talking about is the key risk for the data and the process on the organizations, what it takes to have a great change management, what automation is key, and of course, a quick peek of StrongPoint, which is the product that we sell. At the end, it's marketing. So the big risk that we have in any software product or any system is what we don't know. What we don't know can easily hurt us, can easily make our company lose revenue, lose profit, end up in a mess. I know that most of you have been developing or working in IT, and you know, OK, I just changed this report. Nothing will happen. It will be fine, and it's Friday, 4 p.m. So you're going to have a quite interesting weekend after that. So there are many types of risk, but the ones that I personally concentrate as a CTO is the fact of data destruction and data confusion, meaning my scripts are not performing or my customizations didn't perform correctly, so I end up losing data. Or I end up confusing data. When I say data confusion is if my script have, for example, a report that determines the data set to run, and I simply go and modify that report that nobody knows what it's about for, I end up destroying a batch process that maybe is part of my recurring lead classification or my recurring billing of contracts or whatever. So that kind of things are easily controlled if we have a proper change management. Of course, unexpected errors, unexpected behavior, changing performance in the system, that's something that all have been experienced. Every time that we do a change, it's like a leap of faith sometimes if we don't have a proper change management. I'm changing this, what else can be broke? Or how this is going to impact my sales process? So that kind of things can mitigate with a good change management. The other one is the data theft. At this point in the world that we live, it's quite easy for my script to just connect to a web service and expose data of my company to my competition or employees taking out another employee information from salary, security code, social security, sorry. And I need to have a control there. I need to know if my scripts are the ones that I approve. And I need to know that my script doesn't do anything that it wasn't supposed to be doing. And of course, malicious code can generate everything of that. And the difference of the other and the malicious code is when your developers actually do something knowing, intentional, that for destroy data on data theft. OK. So cause of this risk. The first one is the key. It's the foundation of everything. We are so used to flying blind in our environments, especially in the cloud, that we don't have the proper documentation, or the documentation that we have is not updated, or is not complete. Maybe some consultant do a particular feature in our account and left us some documentation, and that's it. That's what we have. Or maybe we have difference between orgs that we don't know, and it's impossible to document. And even if we go and make a documentation project that takes months, as soon as I finish, that documentation is not updated because my company will not stop creating customization, will not stop using Salesforce while I'm documenting. That brings us unintended consequences. Every time I do a change, I don't have documentation. I don't know how to do the impact analysis. OK, something going to happen that I don't know. Of course, if I don't have documentation, I don't know exactly what is going to happen as soon as do I change. That's end up in my release process is a little bit loose. It's not as tight as I probably want. It's not as tight as I probably need for the company to ensure that anything that's going to be deployed in production, anything that's going to be tested, is what's supposed to be. And of course, that brings us to the last 2 points. We cannot forget about people. Our staff are one of the key threats that we have, doing very simple things that seems to be completely innocent, can open security breach, can destroy a financial auditing, can put the company in a position that to fail audit. So everyone knows what happened when we fail audit. Managers came crazy. That says what happened. So, and of course, data. We always end up doing change management for our scripts. And maybe we end up doing change management for some workflows. And maybe some other object there. But data, why we are not doing change management for our item objects, for our customer, for our contracts? We need to have that. Because any impact on the data can break the company. And for example, with the new CPQ regulation, can end up impacting the revenue recognition of my company, and the company going to end up losing money. So data needs to be part of the change management. So I'm going to speed up a little bit. Sorry. So how we mitigate all the risk, how we prevent this from happening? We need to have a good change management process. I'm not going to read all of that, but basically, it's a lot of work. A lot of work if we do it manually. Imagine try to keep documentation update for all the customized objects that we have, and not only the documentation of that particular object, also all the dependencies. My scripts are dependent of data. That data is stored in files, in fields, and that fields are part of records. So how I can keep that documentation up to date, how I can ensure that I have full coverage, that's a lot of work. Of course, if I go one step further and says, OK, I'm going to double-check each one of the releases, and what I'm talking about double-check, I'm preparing for the release, so I do some sort of impact analysis, some sort of risk assessment, then I make the release. What happened next? How I can prove that everything that I push is what I'm supposed to be pushed, nothing else get changed, and my environments are now exactly the same. Or if I have difference between the environments, I know. All of this can be done manually. The problem is, I don't know, you need a 100-person team to just document and do change management. So what is the solution here? The solution is go with with some automation that do the heavy lifting. There are parts of a change management process that cannot be automatic at all. I'm not going to have certain approvals on financial reports that are not that are made by the machine. I need people to say, OK, check. But all the other part, documentation, go change by change and evaluate if it was part of a policy of that change is compliant or not compliant. This is a non-material or material change. Why? Why I need to do it like hundreds of changes in several organizations? Let's put something in an automatic way. And of course, there is one major thing here. Change management is great, and we know that we need it. But our company doesn't sell change management. So nobody will came back and says, great, we miss our numbers. We didn't find our, we didn't make all the sales that's supposed to do, but our change management is fantastic. That's not going to happen. Trust me. That's not going to happen. So what we propose in StrongPoint is automation is key, and what we can have automatically. We can have automatic documentation. We can easily go and read all the customized objects in all your orgs and detect the metadata that describe that objects and all the dependencies, meaning impact analysis in 1 minute, per se, meaning risk analysis. And on top of that, we do change monitor. So every change that occurs in your organization is going to generate a log. That log will be evaluated through the change clearance to see if there is a policy that allows that change to occur. If there are supported records in our world are change orders, and those change orders were actually approved. That's meaning that you start getting under control the heavy part of change management. You have documentation. Every time a change happens, a log is created, and every time a log is created, our engine goes back and checks if there is a policy that allows that change to occur. And if the policy asks me for having a change request, it goes and looks for the change request. And the most important part, this means that I've been continuous auditing. So myself, as a technical guy, I don't think of anything worse than a manager came and says, OK, show me that you follow all the process. OK, I have all of these list of bugs that I need to solve, but OK, I can stop everything and build some documentation. With a StrongPoint, click, OK, change request, policy, complete full traceability, environment compare, which is the tool that compares environments, and we are good to go. Maybe there are changes that we don't know, but we are going to have non-compliant changes. Tell me, like, Nick, you just push a new script here, a new workflow, and somehow this changed these pages, or this changed this other script. What happened? This is briefly what I just mentioned. From automatic documentation, we end up in automatic process. The key for me is automated change monitor and continuous auditing. The system will keep looking at your account and keep discover new customization, new change logs. It's going to try to go back and find the policy. It's going to show that this is a closed-loop system that we have our org under control. And if we don't have our control, it's going to tell us multiple non-compliant changes. What's going on? Do something. This is this is what our customer says. And trust me, I had this guy from Nordic was the only customer in my life that called me on a Friday night to says, this actually is great. When I received the call from the VP of IT on a Friday night, it says, OK, my weekend just get destroyed. And it was a great experience. That's why it's always in every presentation. So my favorite line there is the amount of hours person that do the same thing manually will take. This is what NOSA gets, what we get. And to finalize, before I allow you to do some questions, let's take a look at what I'm talking about. First of all, I was talking about documentation. In a couple of hours, in a couple of days, depending on how big your organization and how many organizations you have, we can have this kind of visualization for everything that is customized in your system. So you can navigate through objects and see all the dependencies. You can print this and go to a meeting and tell, hey, Mr. Marketing guy, that's great, your idea, but to change this workflow, I have all of these that are going to impact. So these are weeks of works. There is a great tool within the system that by name is going to search for all the customization. In this case, I'm searching for maintenance. And it shows me all the customization, and it's also show me the dependencies. For example, account workflow is a dependency, meaning that something from here have a dependency against account workflow. If I go to the change request and do the proper impact analysis, I select the field, and it's going to show me everything that is dependent. And this gets stored, so I can go back and prove to everybody, my auditors and management, that I created a change request, I did the impact analysis, you approved the change, I released the change. So we follow the process. If you come 3 months from now or a year from now and, OK, show me that you are following the process. That's it. I did the impact analysis. I have a change request. The change log is created against the policies. Everything is sorted out as expected. A change request with a clear flow that goes from, OK, we need a change. Let's talk about the change. Let's have a parent change request because it's part of the process. Someone approve it. Everything get documented again. And from the change request, I can do a couple of things that I think are great. First, I can do an environment comparison. In this case, it's a post-deployment. So I can ensure that after I deploy, my 2 accounts are exactly the same. I'm not missing anything. I don't have objects in one account that is not in another. Or I don't have objects in my production account that are newer than my UAT account, meaning that someone goes and modifies directly my production account. So the environment comparison can detect a lot of stuff beside the release management. If I do the release management, if I do the release directly from the change request, I will have the deployment logs that are going to tell me that I was able to push everything to our environment, or there are some errors. Again, everything get logged, everything get with the audit trail, simple errors for developers to tell exactly what's going on. And if something goes extremely wrong, I can do rollback directly from the change request. I'm going to send it again. Change request approved, policy, change log, everything rounded up, and I do a rollback. So it's going to show me that I did a change, and then I revert the change. And to revert the change, I have the proper approvals. And even within the rollback, if I select a subset of the object that I just pushed, it's going to tell me, no, I cannot do this rollback like this. You are missing dependencies. So the system is always protecting me in a way that don't do something stupid. Don't break something for the sake of breaking. Other thing that occurs very fast is I have permanently code review. I can review code environment against environment. I can review code in the same environment. It shows me the difference, in this case, between demo and partner dev. Show me exactly what it changed on the object that it changed. I can do it against all the scripts against all script, all account against all account. The only difference is the time that it's going to take. I can make it in subsets of objects. This is for code, but also is for other objects like approval rules, workflows, and everything that will tell me exactly the difference between them. I can even compare reports and tell exactly the difference. So why I'm seeing financials in this account and not in this account? Why they are different? I can just go and compare the objects. And of course, there is no system that is complete with beautiful charts and graphics. We measure everything. So I can have an auditor coming right now to my company. I can show you, like, OK, these are the changes. We have a 73% of log change only, meaning that in the system we do changes that we don't care, that we know we did an impact analysis. We have the policies in place, and we still don't care about these changes. We have an 11% of changes that we care and are compliant. So we are following the process. And we have a 10%, trust me, that's a 10, that is non-compliant and unresolved, meaning so somehow we have changes that nobody knows why nobody approved, are there, but we know that happened. And from here, StrongPoint also offers a path to clear those changes in a structured way. It's not like, OK, we have a non-compliant change and that's it. So we can create an after-the-fact change request and associate and show our auditors that even we made a mistake, we can correct that mistake in a structured way. So the time is up. Questions, comments? You didn't like my accent. It's the only one I have. Sorry. I speak Spanish and Italian as native, so imagine English. It's something else. So thanks, everybody. Hope that this is kind of like interesting for all of you.